Hey, what's up, guys? This is going to be opening 049. So, the 49th opening that I'd like to share with you is the Murakami variation opening. So, this opening being named after the three-time world champion, Mr. Takeshi Murakami from Japan. I think he is also a very well-respected nine-dan player in Japan. I think he's an English teacher in Japan teaching a high school, and I actually had the chance to personally meet him to actually speak with him. So all along, I've known him as a very kind person. So definitely, he's one of the nicest players that you can perhaps find within the Othello community. So let's just quickly jump into the sequence, which is essentially a further extension of the flat and rotating flat opening, just that the variation begins with a side move to g6. So let's go on to see the sequence, f5. So this is the usual rows sequence, and of course you lead up to flat and rotating flat. And over here, instead of going for the full rotating flat variation of g5, you actually get a step ahead and actually play to g6 instead as a variation. So as you observe the rose branch openings, specifically those that are leading to the flat or the rose birth set of openings, you will realize that the various configurations of the first two moves to the right over here in the g3, 4, 5, and 6 space usually leads to various permutations and hence different variations of each opening. So this is one of the permutation that you can consider. And of course, g6 over here is a step up. And so I think the trick here is that it's an easy line to play and it limits options for white. And also it kind of throws white off. So if you're in a blitz game or even in a slow game, if you've always memorized playing rotating flat set of openings by just going for the move in rotation in a clockwise manner, you might actually just jump to c3 and definitely miss the best move over here to g5 perhaps. So this is probably one trick. And of course, if you do actually get g5 being the best move, black can jump in to centralize in a probably cutting across this long row of white discs and just playing towards the center instead of f7, which gives up e7 easily. You go for e7 that cuts into the middle of this particular row, and of course the response for white over here is usually not that intuitive per se. You have to grab the edge and you give up a pocket space over here for black to further centralize and consolidate his shape in this center, and to take perhaps what is probably a more uncommon type of edge grabbing over here to h6, which could be fairly counterintuitive. So the usual follow-up is this sequence over here, and perhaps you could then jump into h5 being the counter move that again presents a perhaps counterintuitive option for white to go for f3, relatively speaking, compared to c3, given that maybe white would actually prefer to just continue that rotation and feed off this unbalanced edge for black. So yep, so this is probably the typical follow-up for the Murakami variation. So if that suits your style and if you analyze the follow-up, perhaps it could actually be a good variation for you to pick up.